In terms of personality, the two students, Izumi Miyamura and Kyoko Hori, are two completely unique individuals, who couldn't be more different from one another even if they tried. Even though the two students do engage in conversation with one another on occasion while in school, it does not appear that their relationship is anything even remotely close to what could be called a friendship. Kyoko Hori, the most popular girl in her class, dresses plainly at home and does the dishes. Izumi Miyamura, the class loner, finds her truth one day when accompanying her little brother Soda home from a nosebleed. Hori finds that Miyamori has piercings and tattoos outside of school, but the two vow to protect each other's secrets. As Miyamura continues to come to play with Soda, they form a deep relationship and friendship. During this time, Miyamura inadvertently reveals his actual identity in front of Yoshikawa while on his way to assist Hori in purchasing eggs during a flash sale. Meanwhile, a student, Toro Ishikawa, befriends Miyamura despite his affections for Hori and informs him that he intends to confess to her. Miyamura keeps his distance from Hori until she approaches him, unhappy that he avoided her to preserve his reputation. Hori apologizes for rejecting Ishikawa and the two reconcile. Hori finds she doesn't know Miyamura's first name when chatting to her mother, and devises many plans to learn it indirectly until Miyamura ultimately tells it to her. Hori is asked to assist the student council with their papers at school. They subsequently accuse her of misplacing the budget report, but Miyamura establishes her innocence by disclosing that one of the members, Remi, had dropped it by mistake when she ran into him, as well as headbutting the president, Sengoku. They apologize, and Hori admits that she assisted the student council in absolving themselves of guilt for tormenting Sengoku's children. Miyamura presents Hori a CD for her birthday, as the pupils begin their third year. As Miyamura remembers his sad history, always being alone at class, Hori, Ishikawa, and Yoshikawa casually create a group with him for a class assignment, and he finds he has them to call his friends. Ishikawa acknowledges their relationship when he confides in him. The following day, Remi jokes with Hori about dating Miyamura, prompting Hori to feel protective over him. Hori and Miyamura compare their hands after school, and Hori almost confesses her emotions to him. When Ishikawa confronts Miyamura about Hori, Miyamura denies having affection for her, and they argue. The two apologize, and Miyamura informs Ishikawa that Hori was the source of their argument. As summer approaches, Sakura falls in love with Ishikawa as he assists her in picking up documents she has strewn. Hori presents Miyamura with ice cream, which he then eats with Ishikawa and Sengoku. Hori and Miyamura lose a game with their friends, and are punished by being forced to purchase drinks for them, with Ishikawa misinterpreting what transpired between them. Hori discovers after school that Miyamura only becomes agitated and harsh while speaking with Shindu, his middle school friend. She and Ishikawa encounter Shindu while out in town. Later, Hori becomes sick, and Miyamura nurses her, learning more about her loneliness in the process. Miyamura eventually confesses his affections for her. Soda recalls seeing Miyamura with another female, not realizing she is Shindo's girlfriend, Chika. Hori grows agitated and avoids Miyamura, eventually tossing her textbook at him. When Miyamura comes at her house to return the textbook, they both apologize. Hori lets Miyamura explain, but she is cut off by her father, Kyotsuke. Hori admits to Miyamura that he is her lover, and they begin dating. Ishikawa seems depressed after discovering this, but reassures Miyamura that they are still friends. Meanwhile, Sakura confides in Remi about her infatuation on Ishikawa, believing she is ugly in comparison, but Remi defends her and encourages her. After Miyamura spends the night at Hori's residence, the other students find they are dating. He chooses to cut his hair and cease wearing spectacles because he is concerned about how his reputation is influencing hers. Miyamura kisses Hori for the first time after school, as Shindo exchanges sweets with Hori and Miyamura. Later, Miyamura's new appearance attracts the attention of the females, as well as Hanaka Sawada, a first-year student who considers him her opponent for Hori's affections. Miyamura discovers Sawada is his next-door neighbor, whose brother died a year earlier, and he grows more empathetic to her plight, forming his own bond with her. Ishikawa offers Sakura his jersey to cover a stain, and Sakura thanks him by baking cookies. Yuki, who is envious, begs Miyamura for assistance in making cupcakes, and even though they burn, Ishikawa pushes her to create more. Miyamura travels to Hokkaido for 5 days to attend a funeral, and Hori awaits his return with bated breath, particularly when his phone runs out of power. They cry when they hug on the day he returns. The ladies advise Hori to be passive around Miyamura by pretending to be afraid while watching a horror film, but she ends up frightening Miyamura. Hori feels humiliated, but Miyamura assures her that he loves her just as she is. He spends the night at her residence, and they sleep together. Miyamura has a dream in which he sees his younger self and tells himself that he will actually meet his pals. Remi reflects about her relationship with Sengoku, beginning with the day they met and ending with Sengoku confessing to her. Miyamura learns Hori's masochistic side when she continuously convinces him to strike or shout at her, which he does. Meanwhile, Yoshikawa is asked out by Akane Yanagi, a student from another class, and seeks advice from her friends, who advise Toru play the role of her lover. Despite Yoshikawa's refusal to accept Yanagi's confession, the gang accepts Yanagi. Miyamura runs into an old middle school classmate, Tanihara, who used to torment him, and continues to speak down to him until he and his companion get beaten up by Hori. She continues to urge Miyamura to be more tough with her, which he grudgingly agrees to, scaring Tanihara and his buddies in the process. Miyamura encounters Mizuchi, who is his first indifferent to him since he has a crush on Hori, but the two eventually get closer. Tanihara has a dream in which he recalls on a present event in which he blamed Miyamura for the death of their school's bunnies. He pays him a visit at his cake store, where he is greeted cordially and pledges to return. He apologizes inwardly for his behavior. Later, Hori and Miyamura reminisce about their middle school days, which Miyamura can now look back on happily after becoming closer to everyone. Hori is envious of Miyamura's friendship with Tanihara, Shindu, and the other boys. Sakura is distraught when she finds out that Ishikawa and Yuki are allegedly dating, while Yuki withdraws into herself, wondering how to be honest with him about her emotions. Ishikawa informs her about Sakura admitting to him, but does not ask for her response. He then goes on to cheer Yuki up by telling her about all of his favorite things about snow, Yuki, and how thrilled they are for it to come. Sengoku subsequently soothes Sakura, who is distraught about her rejection. The brothers strive to get closer to Yanagi, after learning that Lura has a sister. Miyamura is first concerned about losing his ties with the males, but he also establishes a strong friendship with Yanagi. Sawada becomes more at ease among the lads, but struggles with the noisy and obnoxious Lura. She worries that he dislikes her when he quietly assists her one day, unaware he's unwell, but he's back to his old self the following day. Matoku, Laura's sister, gets dejected when her instructor says she won't be able to get into her preferred high school, but Laura encourages her. Hori, at his request, assists in tutoring her as they converse. Each sibling secretly hopes the other doesn't despise them. Hori invites Miyamura to Christmas dinner, but he declines owing to business obligations, much to the dismay of Soda and Kiyotsuki. Toru tells Sengoku and Laura about his emotions for Yuki, and how, despite the fact that they are not dating, he is content with their present relationship. Later, she visits his home to play with him, where they become more uneasy and ashamed, exacerbated by the Ishikawa house caregiver, Yashiro. Sengoku is apprehensive of visiting Remi because he is afraid of bugs. Hori considers what will happen when they graduate from high school. Each of the characters spends Christmas relaxing with their families and loved ones. Miyamura pays a brief visit to the Hori home before departing for work. Hori tells him on the way home that she wants to remain with him even after they graduate, to which he answers that they should get married. They spend New Year's Eve together, thinking about their future. Students tidy out their lockers as the end of the school year approaches. Remi wants to go on a vacation with the rest of her friends, but she is concerned that they may abandon her in the future, despite their assurances that they would all stay friends. Miyamura ponders what his and the other students' school lives would have been like if he hadn't met Hori by chance. Miyamura accidentally sneezes during Sengoku's address during the graduation ceremony, generating a commotion. He then speaks to his old self, saying that he would not turn away from who he once was. Sawada bids farewell to Hori, while Sakura expresses gratitude to Ishikawa. Yanagi approaches Yuki with the notion of their group going on a vacation together at some point. Kiyosuke seems to annoy Miyamura and Hori, while Motoko appears to walk Lura home and notices her brother's changing behavior at school. Miyamura and Hori leave together, while he mulls over all the things he admires in Hori, all she's done to help him come out of his shell, and what he can do to repay her. The anime concludes on that note. As always, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, and stay tuned for future uploads. I hope to see you in the next one.